Welcome back to Self-Care Sound Mind, the podcast and live series. We're back to bring you episode 5, where we are talking all things men and mental health. I'm super excited for my special guest, Mr. John Granger of Breakthrough Therapeutic Services, LLC. He's a licensed master social work, and we're going to get into all things men and mental health. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Self-Care Sound Mind, the podcast and live series. I am super excited for another episode of the podcast. This is episode 5. It is hard to believe that we are already 5 episodes in. You know the drill. I just want to make sure that I am live on Facebook and YouTube. I am live. Share the page with everyone you know, and let them know that they do not want to miss this conversation tonight. I have so many things that I want to talk to my special guest about tonight. So let me share this link. And we are going to get right in it. So I want to, again, welcome you to Self-Care Sound Mind, the podcast and live series. It's going to be a good one. We are talking men and mental health. So Self-Care Sound Mind, the podcast and live series is a podcast that I'm doing every 2 weeks where the goal is to uplift, inspire, and encourage. All of the themes for the shows are going to be about some way to improve your mental health and to encourage you to implement self-care in your daily lifestyle. So this is episode 5, and we're talking men and mental health. Before we jump right into it and bring in my special guest, I want to remind you to purchase a shirt with a purpose. I am actually wearing my Tender Loving Self-Care t-shirt today. If you purchase this t-shirt on embracingoak.com, all of the proceeds from the shirt go directly to my free mental health campaign. So please help us. I have already allocated the funds and helped at least, I've helped a person have at least 2 or 3 free therapy sessions. So guys, that is absolutely amazing. So thank you and shout out to everyone who has donated to our free therapy campaign. You can donate or purchase a shirt. You can purchase a shirt or donate directly to the GoFundMe campaign at embracingoak.com. And I'll go ahead and put that in the chat for you as usual. Also, if you have a self-care item, if you have a t-shirt, a body butter, a journal, or anything that you would like me to share with my listening audience, please email me. You can contact me directly at embracingoak.com. And I am pretty sure that those are all of my announcements for the day. I'm going to jump right in it and bring in my special guest. Now, I will apologize to him because usually, well, I shouldn't say usually. So far, I know a lot about the people, so I give them a little bit of an intro, but my relationship so far has been professional, and so I'm going to allow him to introduce himself because I realize as I'm reading my notes, I don't have no personal details to share. So we are going to invite Mr. John Granger to and I want to make sure I'm saying your last name right too. Correct me if I'm wrong. We're going to invite him to the show. Everyone give it up for my special guest. Hello.
Thank you. Hey, what's up, Kiara? What's going on?
I am so excited.
I'm glad to be here.
You don't even understand. I am so excited because, number one, you are a unicorn in this world. You got a Black male therapist, live and in color. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
People, they do exist. They are out there. Let me tell you.
Yes,
I've had one conversation, well, 2, really, since before the show, but conversations with this man, and he does some great things. So go ahead and introduce yourself. Tell us all about you, all about your practice, and everything.
Okay. So as Kiara said, my name is John Granger. I'm a licensed social worker in the state of Pennsylvania. A little bit about my background. So I have an undergrad in economics, a master's degree in international development with an urban concentration, and a master's in social work. I got in this field, after I did my master's in international development with urban concentration, working with formerly incarcerated individuals, which was kind of my passion, because the chips is stacked up against the Black and brown sisters in America. But in doing that work, I worked for Volunteers of America at a halfway house, helping people get jobs and getting back into school and reintegrated back into society. But doing that work, I saw some of the mental stress that some of these individuals were having, and I wasn't necessarily equipped to kind of help them with that.
Okay.
So that was part of the impetus for me going to get my master's in social work, and also some of my own experiences in terms of, I remember dealing with some emotional stuff growing up, and people telling me, you got to be a man about it, you got to suppress your emotions. And I remember, I think one of the key moments I remember for me is when my sister passed away, and someone's like, you got to be strong. You got to be strong for your family. And I was like, okay, I'm going to be strong. And then a year and a half later, I just had a breakdown. I just all came out. I was like, I never got to express. I never got to grieve, my sister. This was not a healthy experience for me, and I did not enjoy that. I said, I don't want to have to express. I want to be able to express that, I'm sad right now, so that these are kind of the things that kind of led me into the therapy field, wanting for myself, wanting to have a high emotional IQ, and wanting to help, really Black men, kind of deconstruct, toxic masculinity, and really create a space, a non-judgmental space where they can express themselves.
Okay, I can't say myself. Hold on. Okay. You are saying, you are hitting on so many points that I want to talk about today.
Talk to me.
All of these reasons. Let's just go back. Let's start from the. So first of all, let's talk about this grief, right? Because you said something that is not only just said to Black men, but I feel like to just Black people in general, right? You got to be strong for the family. Yeah. Why do I have to carry the burdens of the family on my back?
Yeah.
Why is that my responsibility, and who made it that way?
Yeah. And why can't I express how I feel? Why can't I express how I feel? Why does me expressing how I feel, why is that tantamount to me being weak? Why can't these things coexist? I can be strong and express my feelings.
So I'm being strong for you, so that means you can be human. Yeah. You can have weak moments, not even weak moments, but human moments, right? Yeah. You can express what you're feeling, but for some reason I can't.
That's how I feel. Everybody can express how they feel except for me. I'm the person that has to hold it together. That doesn't seem fair. And
not
it's not
only
healthy.
doesn't it seem fair, but it's not fair. And I talk a lot about the Black Superwoman syndrome, but this same pressure is being put on Black males as well. And so we're all walking around with this pressure, trying to pretend like we're not the human beings that we truly are. Yeah. And that's not okay.
Yeah.
So let's talk to you, because you also mentioned, would you say suck it up and be a man? Did you say that?
You got to be a man, suck it up, be a man.
So let's start with that, okay? Because that drives me nuts. Yeah. And working with at-risk children for so long, or children who are considered higher level of care, because
about the Black boys. Talking about Black boys? Yeah.
And you see, you know exactly what I was talking about.
I already know.
I'm describing this, and you're like, yeah, all the Black boys.
The Black boys,
exactly. So we're telling them they can't cry. No. They can't feel. They can't be human. So we're telling them this. We're literally invalidating their human experience, and we're surprised when the only thing that they're able to express is anger.
Yes. Black
to
boys
lash out and to burst.
Yes, Black boys. Yep, Black boys get taught emotional suppression at a very young age.
Emotional suppression. If you are a parent of a young Black or brown male, even if you're not a person of color, if you are a parent and you are telling your child, especially your male child, to not feel their feelings, you are committing what they call emotional suppression. Tell them again.
That is emotional suppression, when you do not allow your kids to express themselves, or tell them that, you know what, this is a feminine trait. You can't express this. I can't, all this disappointment, all this crying. No, I don't want to hear that. That's emotional suppression, and it comes out in other ways that contributes to societal problems. Look at all the violence we see today. Look at all the violence we see today.
So you're telling a child who, when they were born, they cried to have their needs met.
Yeah.
And then they're a toddler, they learn a few words, they're able to maybe do some baby sign language if you're really advanced as a parent, right? And yet the minute that they're supposed to, or you think they should be using their words, but they're still expressing that same emotional, they're still having those same emotions, or they're expressing themselves through crying or tears or sharing some sort of human experience, all of a sudden that's wrong.
Yeah.
You've reinforced it my whole life. That's confusing.
Yeah.
You as a parent, let's keep it funky, okay? These parents are out here getting high. They are drinking to numb their feelings because they don't feel like they can express themselves. But you want your child to just shut up and suck it up.
Yeah.
You ain't even sucking your own life up. And you have the consequences of your own choices. Come on.
Absolutely. Now you have this generational trauma. We're passing from one generation to another generation, and nobody knows how to express themselves in a healthy manner. They all have these counterproductive, unhealthy coping mechanisms. Which leads to so many interpersonal issues, relationship issues, possibly work issues.
Affects yourself. It affects every area of your life.
It's going to affect every area of your life, how you function.
The only thing that was needed was for you to feel seen and to feel heard. Right? So for you to be able to express that, I'm upset and I don't know what to do about it.
Yeah.
I'm upset because you hurt my feelings.
Yeah.
I'm upset because my life is changing and I have no control over it.
Yeah.
But I'm not allowed to do or say that or experience that.
Yeah.
So if I hold it in,
it's going to come out in other ways. Emotional suppression comes out in other ways. I always say feelings buried alive never die. So you might try to bury these things. Feelings buried alive never die. You might try to bury these things, but they're going to come out in some way, shape, or form. Honey, they are not resolved.
Grow roots in a tree.
Yeah.
Figure out where this tree came from. Planted a long time ago.
Yeah. Now you're just displacing your anger on other people. You're projecting because you bury so much in you. And that's the most effective way. That's one of the most effective ways to experience chronic stress is emotional suppression.
You've been on here 10 minutes and I feel like we can wrap it up. All of that is just, I really need our men to hear this, okay? I'm gonna let you do it because I want you to talk to the man out there who may eventually hear this podcast and talk to the little boy who wasn't allowed to share his emotions.
Yeah, I would say that I would tell that young man that his feelings are important. He matters, and it's important for him to be able to express his emotions in a, non-judgmental environment, to not hold this stuff in. Especially with my black men, I got in this field to help black men. I want them to be the best version of themselves for their partners, their kids, for society. I really want them to be the best version of themselves. And you can't do that by emotional suppression, by suppressing your emotions. It's important. The things that I work on with the black men that I work on is emotional intelligence. After we've kind of go through some of the traumas that they have been through, we work on, all right, let's build a new you. Let's deconstruct this idea of masculinity and let's build a new you that is more emotionally intelligent, that is more in control of yourself. I tell you, that's probably the number one things that I deal with in terms of black men coming in terms of this happened when I was 6 or 7. I never got a chance to talk about this.
Wow.
And we explore that trauma. And then also talk about the impact that it's having on them, because a lot of people have so many things that they weren't able to express. When they were younger, they weren't able to tell their mom, I was molested.
Because what happened in our house stayed in our house.
Yes. This is a secret. We don't get people into our business. And now they have distrust of people. It's hard for them to have healthy relationships. And like you said earlier, it's affecting every area of their life. So this is important, especially that's why I got into this field, to help black men. I want them to be the best version of themselves. I want them to have emotional intelligence.
talking about emotional suppression. Okay, so
Yeah.
I had a conversation with my husband, and we
Okay.
had to revisit this conversation because I had
Okay.
to make sure. Now, let me put this disclaimer out there. I believe that I am a wonderful therapist.
Okay.
Okay? I believe that my knowledge and my skills and my experience have equipped me to help people.
Yeah.
However, when I come home, I'm not a
Yeah.
therapist anymore. I
I
am a
feel you.
wife, I am
Yeah.
a mother, and I am a very tired employee / entrepreneur.
Yeah.
So I don't always get things right.
Yeah.
I don't always follow my own advice.
Yeah.
I'm not always the best me that I could be.
Listen, I feel you, Carrie. Listen, you and me both. You and me both.
So I'm putting that disclaimer out there before I go into this conversation. So we had a conversation the other day about men and women and marriage in particular, the communication with men and women and marriage. And he's like, women, y'all get together and y'all empower each other to express your truth, right? It's what do you feel? Share what's on your mind.
Yeah.
You do all these things, go girl, right? You empowered, wonderful, we're all queens, right?
Yeah.
So we lift each other up and we express yourself.
Yeah.
But the man is told, oh, you better not say that. Don't tell your wife that's how you feel. Don't tell your wife that. So there it's like a condemning of that's how I won't say nothing. Just let it ride. Or if you say that, she's gonna shut down. If you say that, she's gonna get mad. If you say that, she's gonna turn it around on you. So don't say nothing. Yeah. So there ain't no male empowerment. Stand up for what's right. Because you're the man, and or because you're human and you should express yourself. So all the stuff we just said to empower the little black boy or the little boy in general, right? That emotional suppression is somewhat encouraged in relationships. Now, communication is preached, but communicate while walking on eggshells is really what the message that it seems like we're getting. Now, I have men on my caseload. And I empower them to share their truth and speak up, right? Because I'm going to encourage their voice and help them implement healthy boundaries. But I realized when he was talking that I was like, oh, you don't feel like you have a voice.
You had to take a step back.
I was like, let me go sit down and reflect on my behavior these past 10 years. You don't feel like, you honestly don't feel like you have a voice.
Yeah.
And I started to think about it. I said, this ain't no coincidence that we're going to have John on the show today.
Yeah.
So it's true that women are given the okay. The power, we claim your voice and all that stuff. But honestly, men aren't empowered. Let's just be real. And I mean, I kind of have my thoughts on that. But before I go into my thoughts, I want to hear your thoughts.
I would say that's not necessarily uncommon, especially with the men. I was talking to a man earlier today. It was like, I can't tell my wife anything. Like every time I open up, it's always, I need to suck it up. So I definitely, that's definitely not a uncommon issue, especially with married black men. With the married black men with the black men that I do work with, I try to identify in terms of what makes them feel emotionally safe. Is this relationship emotionally safe? What makes you feel emotionally safe in relationships?
Lord, ladies, I need y'all to listen.
So
we got to be an emotional safe
place.
It
has to be an emotional safe space because if a woman feels or encourages her man not to express his feelings or engages in any type of emotional suppression or basically engage in toxic masculinity too, in terms of, listen, you're the man of the house, you figure it out. Listen, if you express yourself, and you're having a bad day, I'm having a bad day, what we going to do? I need you to be strong 100% of the time. And that's not, that's not realistic. It's not
realistic and it's not fair.
No, it's not fair. It has to be a safe space for men to express themselves, to express fear. It has to be an emotionally safe split.
So
space.
no emotional suppression for boys and no emotional suppression for the husbands either.
No,
right?
no, absolutely not. I think it's important for the husband and the wife or the boyfriend and girlfriend to find out what is going to contribute to, because at the end of the day, you want a healthy relationship. Healthy relationships require a high degree of emotional intimacy. If I feel like I can't tell you nothing or I have to keep stuff in, this relationship doesn't have a high degree of emotional intimacy. I just pick and choose what I share with you because I know how you might react. So you want the healthiest relationship at the end of the day. So I think it's incumbent upon both partners to talk to their significant other in terms of what makes you feel emotionally safe. I want this to be a judgment-free environment, or an environment where you can express any emotion that you want to express or freely express yourself. I promise you, it's so many married men, listen, clients and friends, who just feel like, I can't tell my wife nothing. I can't tell her nothing.
It makes me so sad.
Yeah.
Okay, so I feel like my thoughts on this are like part wife, part therapist.
Okay, go ahead. Talk to me.
Breakdown that I came up with.
Talk to me.
So women are definitely encouraged to express themselves more, right? So there's so many different thoughts I have on this. Okay. So one, I feel like the one thing that brings up an issue with this is number one, when there's communication, right? You know, people, it's not what you say, it's how you say it. Well, it's let's just be honest, it's what you're saying and how you're saying it. I know from me as a person, and I've struggled with this my whole life, so it doesn't, it's not different now that I'm married. It's just something I continue to work on is if someone comes to me and tells me that I've done something wrong or they don't like something or I've offended them in some way, I take it very personally. Yeah. And this is just, you know, transparent moment. I take it very personally. Okay. And I have a hard time with it, not because I don't believe you, but because usually I'm like, I dropped the ball because I try to be, you know, decent and honest and good at the things that I'm doing. Like my intentions are pure, but they don't always come across that way. I know that I could be a bit snippy and a bit harsh when I'm anxious. And I realize that, and I'm since my brother died, my anxiety has been.
I understand. Yeah.
And so it's now where I can recognize and say, I'm anxious and I don't want my anxiety to come out as if I'm upset with you, but I'm really anxious and I need time. I can't respond to you until I can calm myself down. Yeah. Right? And so there's that, right? Yeah. And then anytime someone is, you know, when you drop the ball a little bit, your defense mechanisms are going to come up, right? Yeah. And so usually it's met with, well, you do. So I'm expressing myself. The man is expressing himself, but the response is, well, Trump, what you said, let me tell you what you did. Okay. Yeah. So there's that. Obviously, that's not the right way to do it. It happens. Yeah. And then I feel like the other thing too is there becomes a disconnect with changes and stages in life. Okay. I feel like, and this was something that I had to come to grips with my marriage, right? Okay. I got married very young. I was 23 when I got married. Okay. And in my mind, I'm like, these are all the things that's going to change. Yeah. I never spoke them. So they were unspoken expectations. Okay. You know, don't work. Yeah. So I had all these unspoken expectations of what was going to be different and what was going to change. And that didn't happen. Right. Okay. So then there was a lot of disappointment. And I realized, you know, maturing, growing up, all that kind of stuff. He showed me who he was. Okay. From day one. Okay. And he hasn't deviated from that. Okay. I, however, have had quite a few metamorphoses as a woman. Yeah. I have changed drastically in every transition and stage in my life. Mm-hmm. Going from, you know, a single female to a wife, major transition. Absolutely. You know, you got to change your last name. Everything everyone's ever known about you has to be That's a transition. You know, advancing in my career, that brought about changes and transitions that I had experienced before. Motherhood.
Yeah.
Physical, emotional, and mental changes. So hold on. That was the fourth change. Go back to losing my brother, right?
Yeah,
Tragically.
absolutely.
So not only did I lose my brother, but I like, let's just be honest. I tell them all the time, so they already know. I've always been the third parent. You know what I mean? So I'm like fronting the money for the funeral, buying the clothes, picking out the burial plot, like because they just couldn't do it. They were so they were grieving. So you jump into therapist mode. You don't allow yourself to be the sister. So I had to grieve when I left. Now, and I'm 5 hours from home, so I'm grieving away from everyone. I have my husband. And work. A lot of changes and transitions, right? Motherhood after that. So I've had all these changes. And he the same man he was when I met him 10 years ago. Not that, he hasn't had like growth in his life, but fundamentally, he's the same person.
Okay.
So when you have one person who's like, this is me, this is who I'm going to be to the end, and someone's like, child, I got to relearn myself every 2 years. How do you manage that? And so it's just so much. Okay. So my back to my original point.
Yeah.
How do you communicate when as soon as you figure out how to say something without making me go off like a ticking time bomb, you change again? Yeah. So now it's like, okay, this way worked 2 weeks ago. Now you're telling me something different. So when you're in a relationship and there's all these changes and transitions, how do we encourage the men not to be intimidated by whether there are defense mechanisms, whether they shut down or like all of that? Like, how do we help them not emotionally suppress their emotions because they don't want their significant other?
Yeah, I think it's the partner just identifying to their partner, this is the best way to communicate this to me. Or when you really want to talk about something deep and emotional, maybe Tuesdays at 9, or when we put the kids to bed, this is the best way to kind of communicate with me that you want to talk about something seriously. That way I can prepare myself, because, sometimes you might have a bad day and just might not be in the mood to do it. So I think it's just communicating to your partner like, hey, it's a little bit of a transition period right now. I want you to feel free to express yourself. These are kind of the best. These are the best ways to do it. The ways that I would be best receptive to it, as I'm kind of going through this transition and figure some things out for myself.
Yeah. So basically communicate the transition.
Yes. Yeah. I think communicating the transition in the best way for the partner.
That's the hardest part for me personally, because by the time I realize, oh, this is what the heck is going on.
Yeah.
And cause like 10 fights.
Yeah. I think the person going through the transition has to be mindful of what they are going through and the impact that it might have on their partner.
Aware of your own emotions.
Yes, which is part of emotional intelligence, self-awareness. So I think it's being important in terms of your emotions and their impact on others.
So here's my other theory. Yeah. So when men feel invalidated, they don't feel heard, they don't feel like they can speak, they don't feel like they have a voice, and they begin to emotionally shut down.
Yeah.
I feel like that a lot of times is when emotional and intimate affairs happen.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Because they lose the safety of themselves and their emotions. Would
absolutely.
You agree?
Okay. I agree with that. Absolutely.
I think that, so I had to say to my husband the other day, because he said, well, I get confused because you tell me one thing and then you get mad and say, well, do it this way. And then I don't know what to do. And so I told him, I said, and I had to apologize. I was like, Lord, I repent. I didn't do what I was supposed to do here.
Yeah.
Okay, you're 10. We're going to start over. We're going to try again. But so I said, I don't want you to feel invalidated.
Yeah.
I don't want you to feel like your opinions don't matter. And I told him, I said, I might initially get defensive because that's my automatic response, right? I'm a work in progress. I'm still working on it. But for me, reflection is the biggest part of change.
Yeah.
I might not like what you're telling me, but I'm going to think about it. And I'm going to try to make a difference in what I do.
Yeah.
And I said, at this point, I can't tell you how to say it. I said, you just going to have to say it. And I'm just going to have to be mad. And you're going to have to be okay with me being mad for a little bit, because it's not necessarily that I'm mad at you. And I explained that sometimes it's just me being hard on myself when I got to remind myself to drop my own cape, and that I'm not going to do everything well and perfectly. And I'm going to miss the mark. And when you're juggling 10,000 things, some things fall through the cracks.
Yeah.
So if we're both extending grace, then, you know, give me a minute to process and figure out how I can make it better. Right. But at this point, you just don't have to say it. It hurt my feelings.
Yeah. Absolutely.
I'm doing that. But like if you, I would rather you say it and just blurt it out than not say it at all.
Yes, I completely agree with you. There has to be room for a partner to express anger, frustration, or disappointment. That doesn't mean it's not a safe space, but there has to be room for that to be expressed. Now, those things want to be expressed in a healthy manner.
Right.
But there has to be room. There has to be room for that.
I think that it is so important for men to feel emotionally empowered. And I mean, I'm telling you, like, we had this conversation Sunday, or the start of this conversation Sunday, and it has just been punching me in the gut every day. Like, I have to, you know, I don't always practice what I preach, but if I don't practice nothing else, it's going to be emotional safety in my home. I mean, that thing just punched me in the gut. Like, I would hate for my son to grow up because I know what it's like to feel that I don't have an emotional safe space. I still struggle with an emotional safe space as the helper. You know, everyone comes to you, but when it's your turn, they're not always ready. Everybody ain't able to see me. I remember a few months ago at work, you know, when my whole cease and desist happened, I was at work and I was falling apart. And then my coworkers were like, I have never seen you like this. Are you okay? I was like, I'm not hiding how I feel. I don't care if it makes anybody uncomfortable. I am not okay. I don't know what to do. You don't always have that safe space to feel like you're not okay. Yes,
and it's okay not to be okay. It's okay not to be okay.
It's okay not to be okay. And I knowing how it feels as a helper, I would hate to perpetuate that same thing on anyone.
Okay.
And so I want us, ladies, we got to accept when we drop the ball and we don't make it a safe space for the men in our life, children, parents, whoever, okay? We have to accept when we drop the ball, and we have to create a safe space, because let's just be honest, 9 times out of 10, they done heard us change our mind 15 times about something.
Yeah.
And one time they express that something ain't right, we let them know everything they've ever done wrong in the past 20 years.
Yeah.
That's not an emotional safe space.
Yeah. Absolutely. I completely agree with you. I think it's important to, you know, while you may give your partner constructive criticism, I think you need to be hearing twice as many affirmations, or you building them up in terms of telling your wife or your husband the value that they're bringing to your life, you know, the impact that they are having, how grateful you are. So I think it needs to be 2-1, you know, for every constructive criticism, there needs to be like you affirmations, you know, you building this person up.
So you mentioned toxic masculinity.
Yeah.
Share.
So that's basically what I was stating earlier in terms of the suppression of your emotions. Feeling like, you know, me expressing my emotions is a sign of me being weak. And that's basically the premise of toxic masculinity, equating weakness with showing, you know, with sharing feelings, you know, masculinity, toxic masculinity, you know, hyper aggressive, you know, hypersexual, you know, not showing any vulnerability. You know,
All the
every
human.
yep. Every behavior is connected to a need, and a lot of times people act out that aggression is used to protect their wanting to be vulnerable.
Mm, 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 mm. So, I think that
I'm sorry, they're wanting not to be vulnerable. That's what I
right.
meant to say.
I think that we have, as a society, really put the spotlight on mental health. Right?
Yeah. Oh
It's
man, it's major right now.
right now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Everyone has a mental health issue. Okay.
Yeah.
Listen, if somebody want to invest in me. Okay.
Yeah.
But anyway, so mental health is they're working to break the stigma.
Yeah.
But I feel like awareness and action are very two different things, right?
Yeah.
And so I would like to see us, even as a community of Black
Yeah.
and brown people, as a whole, right?
Yeah.
Everyone included as well. I would like to see this level of awareness move more to the side of action.
Yeah.
So how would you? I'm not sure if you're accepting clients or anything, but share the steps for the man who realizes that they have been suppressed and are suppressing their emotions. How do they seek help?
I think it's first, acknowledging that you have something internal going on and that this does not make you weak. Asking for help. I think that's a key part of breaking the stigma is what they say, men don't even like asking for help for directions.
Right. Just be lost.
So you can imagine when it comes to mental health. So I think I think it's very important that us in the community encourage people to get help and letting them know it's okay to get help. I don't think any less of you. We all need, the reality is we all need help at some point in time in different areas. We all need help at some point in time.
I need a lot of help.
Yeah, listen, I need a lot of help too, Kiara. That's what led me to you. I need help. Yes, I need help too. So listen, but yeah, I think breaking down this stigma, I think it's important to encourage our Black and brown brothers and sisters that it's okay to ask for help. There is nothing wrong with you. You're not crazy. You know how many times I gotta tell them, you're not crazy. You're not. All we're doing, we're going to have a conversation. We're going to chop it up, have a conversation. I just want you to be the best version of you. We're going to explore your past and see how it's affecting your future. You're not crazy at all. You're not.
You're not crazy.
No.
And let's talk a little bit about reasons to go to therapy. I had someone ask me last weekend, "Do you think something is wrong with me because I need help? Because I'm going through this separation?" And I said, of course not. That's exactly why you should be going to therapy, to help you through this separation. I'm like, so we have to, while we also are trying to address the stigma, right? We also have to educate. There are so many reasons to go to therapy, and it's not because you're bipolar or schizophrenic or crazy.
Yeah.
Can you share some of the reasons?
Yeah, I think
male or female.
I think when you're going through any type of life transition, you might need some professional support. And it's okay to have that professional support. You want to, at the end of the day, you want to be the best version of yourself. Going to therapy, it's supposed to be a very reflective process. You can reflect on in terms of the relationship you have with yourself. Is this healthy? Do I have a healthy self-esteem? Is my unhealthy self-esteem or my unhealthy relationship with myself, is this affecting my other relationships? So I think it's exploring different areas of your life, support in them. Like you said, doesn't mean that you're crazy or anything like that. You could just need support in a particular area, relationship with another person, relationship with yourself. The key is, like I said, you want to be the best version of yourself. And oftentimes professionals can help you identify maybe blind spots, or they're able to be objective. It can be hard to be subjective, objective in our own lives.
Absolutely. I think that was an excellent list. I know some people who just, if you're feeling lost, if you're sad, if you're feeling anxious, I mean, the pandemic has made a lot of people realize that they maybe should talk to someone because they struggle with it. But then it's like, okay, pre-pandemic, we have some stuff we needed to work on here.
Absolutely.
And so, I like to say, I say everyone needs therapy.
Yeah.
Because at some point in our life, right, there may have been a time where we have taking an idea, a recording, something we heard, and maybe we internalized it, and we're living in a way that really, those are not the thoughts that we should have about ourselves, right?
Absolutely.
Be surprised at the low self-esteem. Even, I work full-time as a therapist on site at a middle school, and the low self-esteem, the eating disorders, cutting and self-harm, the suicidal ideation, like this kind of stuff starts young.
Absolutely.
And broken kids who aren't given the help they need make broken adults. If it happened to you and you never got the help you needed, it's still there.
Yes. And this can happen no matter socioeconomic status or how you look, because I deal with models look like Idris Elba. John, I don't like myself. I'm like, look at you, sir. What's wrong with you? No, but so I just say it doesn't matter what somebody may look like or their success in life. They can still be struggling with low self-esteem issues based off of things that happened to them earlier in life, things that they have internalized with them and carried with them, and that they have made a part of their identity. And they have developed a fear-based decision-making identity. And this affects what decisions that they make.
Wow. Oh man. Oh man. This has just been wonderful. I you don't even understand. I already told you you're the unicorn, right? I hope everyone out there is really, whoever is going to listen to the replay, those of you who are watching, this live later on, I want you to really take an account what you're feeling when you hear this stuff.
Yeah.
Right? If something resonates with you and you realize, man, maybe I do need to talk to somebody. Listen, if you have insurance, you can call the number on the back of your insurance and they'll give you a long list of people in your area. If you're in the state of Delaware, you can go to blackbrowndelawaretherapist.com, therapist with an S at the end.com. There's therapyforblackmen.org. There's therapyforblackgirls.com. There's cliniciansofcolor.org, and there's Psychology Today. That's all inclusive. So there are many, many resources out there. You do not have to figure out life alone.
Absolutely.
We weren't created to be alone, right? We are relational creatures, and that's relationship in many different aspects of relationship. But if you are finding that you are struggling in any way, please take that first step to get the help that you need.
Absolutely.
And no one, well, let me rephrase that. If you get yourself a good therapist, and relationship is important with that. So if you go to the first session and you're like, we ain't vibing too good, I don't know about this, that might not be the one for you.
Yeah.
You want someone who's going to you can have a relationship and you could be real with. If you got to go in and keep your mask on, they ain't the one. You know, you should be able to go in there, mask off, ugly cry, everything. Okay. And so if you need help, do not be afraid. We are telling you now that you are worth the investment.
Absolutely.
You are worth us listening and hearing and giving space to. You are valuable and you are meaningful. And if nobody else loves you, we do.
Absolutely. It takes a strong person.
You don't feel love from nobody else because you are loved. If you don't feel the love, take it from us.
Yes.
I can't thank you enough for all of that. I love that you are out here working with Black men. Let's go back a little bit because I feel like I remember you saying this, but it kind of made me go, Tell me about your work with people who were in prison.
Oh, yeah. So when I worked at Volunteers of America, I was working at a halfway house where I helped, guys who wanted to get reintegrated with society, help them get jobs, help them conducting some family sessions, help them get back to school, really kind of help them get back on track. Now that transitioned as I went into private practice. There was a private company that reached out to me that has a great program where they particularly hire formerly incarcerated individuals, and they get them jobs, they train them, and they help place them in corporate jobs. So they asked me to kind of work with them with the mental health aspect, which has been wonderful. The guy that I'm currently working with right now is, I would say, growing in terms of emotional intelligence, his decision making, identity, and is really has a bright future.
I love it. I love it. I mean, I just, all of this is extremely wonderful. I love that you have the experience with both sides, right? Helping them with their physical needs, whether
Yes.
it's housing or
Yes.
employment, things like that, and then emotional needs as well, and how you
Absolutely.
merge that passion. And I love that, because none of us are perfect. All of us need help
No.
in one way, shape, or form. And
Yeah.
just because they maybe made some wrong choices in life doesn't mean
Yes.
that they're not worth that same amount of
Absolutely.
love, attention, and
Absolutely.
care, and being heard.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And when they realize that they can be human, and
Absolutely.
it's okay for them to feel what they feel, even after they've done what they've done.
Yeah.
Now
Yeah.
that is powerful.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think that's important for the whole man to be addressed.
Mm.
His
The
physical
whole,
needs as well as his
the
mental and emotional
whole,
needs.
come on here, whole man.
Mhm.
The whole man. Oh, I love that. I love that. Let everybody know. Never mind. I was going to say, let everybody know how they can follow you, but you don't do social media.
Yeah.
Tell them your website.
So you can go to johngrangertherapy.com and you can find more about me and my services.
I will put that in the chat. That is so funny. I was about to say, tell them where they can follow you on social media. Nowhere.
You know they can't find me nowhere, Kiara. You know they can't find me nowhere.
No,
They can't follow me.
I had to snoop the internet just to get your picture. I could have just asked you, but I was like, it was a short turnaround.
Yeah.
I had to hunt you down on psychology today. But I mean, I really, really enjoy our conversation.
Me too. I appreciate you having me on. It was an honor to be on your show.
Absolutely. I thank you for everything that you've said and how you've even helped me. And I really appreciate the work that you're doing. I know that we don't always get thanked. So
Yeah.
I personally want to thank you for the impact that you are making in Philadelphia, in the world, in the universe.
Thank you. Thank you.
What you are doing, I don't care how many at a time, but if it is one Black man at a time,
Yeah.
thank you for your service.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
And make sure that as you are helping others, that you are continuing to help yourself.
Absolutely.
Because we can't have you burnt out and busted.
Absolutely. You cannot pour from an empty cup.
No, not even one with that still functions, but got a little crack in the hole.
Yeah.
We gotta be.
Yes, we gotta make sure we take care of ourselves. That's important, especially in this field.
Because we need you to continue to do the work that you're doing. So I thank you so much. I appreciate you. And thanks for coming on the show.
No problem at all. Hope you have a wonderful evening.
You don't have to leave yet, but I'm gonna let everybody know what we have coming up. I was trying to do it and I was a little ill prepared, guys, but I want to remind you that we are having our self-esteem workshop. We are 1 week away from our teen self-esteem workshop. If you have not registered, please go to embracingoak.com. I really don't want this opportunity to be passed by. Working in a middle school, I don't want to say devastation, but I see how hard it is for these young girls growing up in this social media, TikTok, Instagram, and Snapchat environment, okay? The filters and the false reality are causing our young ladies to devalue themselves and undervalue themselves in many ways. And so I want to make sure that every teenager out there gets the opportunity to be uplifted and encouraged to love themselves, okay? So you can go to embracingoak.com and you can register on there. We're going to be using my self-esteem workbooks. The books are recommended but not required. And that is Friday the 18th from 10 to 12. Everybody should be out of school by then, and that's enough time for them to sleep in and wake up and join the workshop. And then Sunday, June 20th, is my workshop for adults. And we are under just as much as the same pressure as the teenagers. So please join me Sunday, June 20th from 5 to 7 for my self-esteem workshop for adults. Here's what's going on next week, or not next week, in 2 weeks. Thanks for joining the show. Good night, everybody.